Hiya guys, it's Alan here. Well, they're off. The race to the finish. Trouble is, it's just a one-horse race. Looks like it's going to be Labour, which is a shame. And I tell you, all my life, I wondered that I've heard, well, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time people complain about the government. Sometimes they complain bitterly, and more so today than ever. And yet, historically, they keep voting the same main parties back in. Well, if you're not happy with the government, why not try something else? You know, it's not rocket science, is it? Why keep complaining and then voting the same people in? That's like, isn't that a sign of madness? Keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. And I think the first sign of madness is talking to yourself. And the second sign is answering. I told you not to interrupt. No, sorry about that. Yeah, so I think people vote emotionally as well. You know, they sort of, if they don't like the look of someone, they don't want to vote for them. Which is weird. You've got to vote logically, you've got to understand. I don't think most people even read the manifestos. I'm sure they don't. I mean, the people I've spoken to, I talk about Farage, and people say, oh, he's a knobhead, he's a dickhead. I say, oh, what's he done, or what does he do that you don't like? Well, nothing, but he's a dickhead. They just go on how they feel, what they see and feel, which is emotional. That's illogical. We've got to vote logically, understand what the party's policies are, and vote for them. And if we don't have change, it will always be the same. If we don't change soon, the country will go under completely. Now, I've always said that if we vote for a small party, a new small party, it will be a kick up the backside for the establishment. And that's what we've got to do. And it does look like we're perhaps getting close to that. And the only one with any other chance really is Reform. I don't count the Liberals, but I don't want to see Labour in again. I mean, look, I think Labour's still mainly funded by the unions. So they're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. They're going to be influenced by the unions. And as for the Tories, well, they're influenced by big business. They're financed by big business. And it's not a democracy, is it? I mean, look at Sunak. Rishi Sunak, and I call him Richie because he's richer than the king. Well, I think it's his wife's money, but, you know, he's not really worried about you? Come on, he's just worried about votes. And so the Tories are financed by big business. And that's what they're going to pander to, not you. And even if you get a government in that's on your side and is making legislation to help you, and then the House of Lords don't like it, they'll just reject it. The House of Lords will only pass something that suits them. Is that a democracy? I think we need to do something about the House of Lords, get rid of them. That's not a democracy at all. And so the Tories have done nothing but rip the country off. I mean, everybody said that Maggie Thatcher was wonderful, but do you know the damage she done? Look at the stuff she sold off. It just goes on and on and on forever, you know. And we used to get, a lot of that we used to get a bit of profit from. Well, the government did, you know. But once it's privatised, they draw a bit of money on the sale, spend it, and then it's gone. They're getting less in. It's like a tradesman selling all his tools and saying, yeah, I've had a good year, but next year he's fucked. So no, I don't believe in all that selling off just for a quick buck. It doesn't work. I believe in privatisation, don't get me wrong. I mean, the telephony brought down phone charge prices astronomically. That was brilliant. That had to be done. Wherever there's competition, privatise. Gas and electric. That worked. Mind you, did it bring prices down? I don't know. But I should think they'd be a lot higher today if it wasn't privatised. I don't think you can privatise the post office. You can't have it's a private company want to deliver a single letter to some cottage in the Cotswolds. I don't think so. So the post office is still obliged by law to deliver to everybody. And bringing in competition is unfair to them. You've got UK Mail. They will go around to Barclays with a big truck and pick up the day's postage and then just run it round to the post office sorting office and give it to them to sort out and deliver. They've done nothing but pick up a truckload of it. Anybody could have done that. The post office could do that. Why are they getting a cut when the post office is doing all the work? That's not right. And you look at things like, see, government services where there's no competition, probate. You know that probate was sold off, and the first thing a private company would do is lay off half of the staff. That's their profit. The government are still paying. It's not saved the country any money. The government are still paying for it, except that the private company wants a big profit. It's probably their mates anyway. And it's now 6 months behind because they're understaffed. 6 months behind. That means that if you've got a family house in probate, you've got to wait 6 months before they look at it. And then you've got to wait another 6 months before you can sell it in case a distant relative pops out of the woodwork. So that's a year. And if there's a mortgage on it, you've got a year's worth of interest going on to that house. That's not fair, is it? So, and Richie Sunak, he wanted to do away with inheritance tax, or at least cut it down a great deal. Who's that in favour of? Not many people I know are in inheritance tax league. No, it's all wrong. And as for Thatcher, after selling off all this stuff all at the same time when she was in, what did she do? She allowed the banks and building societies to compete. Now, in the old days, the first time I went into a building society, my local one, and asked for a mortgage, they said, "Have you saved with us for 6 months?" I said, "No." They said, "Well, we can't give you a mortgage. You have to be a saver for 6 months." That's great because it encourages saving and will give somebody a bit of a deposit. But after she opened it all up, you've got to have some controls. You can't. Society can't be a free-for-all. It just doesn't work, especially with finance. People overborrow and get themselves into trouble. And so allowing them to compete, they ended up giving 120% mortgages. Well, that's ludicrous, isn't it? Because was the start of big problems. Thatcher caused the banking crisis. Work it out. She went to the States, she spoke to her mate Ronnie Reagan and told him to do the same with their mutuals, their building societies, the mutuals. And he'd done pretty much the same, give them a free-for-all. And of course, in the States, being a bit more corrupt than us, the regulatory body was funded by the people they're regulating. So again, they're not going to bite the hand that feeds them, and all sorts of bad things went on, and it took several decades, but slowly, when this shit came to light, there was the banks crumbling left, right and centre. And big business, they write bonuses into contracts to get good managers in. What's that all about? The company, what was it, BT, they lost 30 billion, and the then CEO, when he left, he got £5 million bonus. And all he did, he presided over a company that, that did the worst it possibly could. Ran up the biggest debt you can imagine. And he walks away with a £5 million bonus. And the Co-op Bank, although they were more careful and they didn't sort of anywhere near go under. But the CEO come out afterwards and he said, I've never been in banking before. What? And you're given the top job in a bank? I don't think it's any good just finding good managers if they've never been in the field. I think that we should go back to bringing people up through the company. People that have worked in the company, they know how it works, they know what it wants. They're the ones that should come up to the top, not some outsider. And a lot of businesses doing it today. That's ridiculous. So the Tories sold everything off. And there's nothing left. It's all gone. And if we don't change, we'll be in shit street. Seriously. So I think that, as I say, there's only the one option left really. Reform. Any party, any small party getting in would give the establishment a kick up the backside. And Reform's got the best chance. And their policies aren't bad. They want to raise income tax level to 20,000, which will help a lot of youngsters. And I don't think that they're going to actually rob the country. People criticise them by the fact that they charge £25 to become a member. Well, they need funding just the same as the other big ones. As I said, Labour is funded mainly by unions, the Tories by big business. So where's Reform going to get their money? Richard Tice, he put in 1 million, and I think Aaron Banks funds them, and there was a bit of controversy. All the opposition are trying to find any little thing they possibly can to run them down. But they've got to be funded, and so what? And then there's a criticism of them being a private company. Well, I think after the experience with UKIP, where they had a lot of riffraff joining, I think that Farage is just being more careful. He wants more control over it. Anyway, the Labour's got two limited companies in its structure, so it's not unheard of. I know Nigel's a bit of an odd case, a bit of an oddball, but have you seen him in the EU Parliament? He tore it apart, insulted Junkers, and it was quite embarrassing at times, but he took no prisoners. He really had a go. And that is what we need in the UK Parliament, in opposition. He'd be good there, oddball or not. I think he would liven up any government with him in opposition. The only thing I think he could do to improve is when they talk about immigration, like, you've got this 7 members of different parties in a televised debate, right? And immigration always comes up. And Nigel, the first thing he does, he leaps into the crux of the matter, numbers and housing and health and all the rest of it. I think he should start out with, we need immigration. Educated people like doctors and nurses coming in on a work permit is good for the country, so we need immigration. Because whenever he kicks off about immigration, somebody else will call out, we need immigration, we need immigration. Well, yes, we do, but I think if he starts out with that fact, he wouldn't get the hecklers. He could then go on to ranting and raving about numbers and whatever. And in any case, how many doctors do you think get out of the small boats? How many doctors amongst the illegal immigrants? And I say illegal immigrants because to enter England without the right papers is illegal. So they should be put in prison, not not put up in hotels. No, I think we need Farage in Parliament. Even if it's only him, he would stir things up, no doubt about it. So I think we should give it a go. Give it a go. Take a chance. Change. That's what we want. Change. Let's go for it.